Everyone thinks Lannister gold made them unstoppable. The richest house in Westeros. Mountains of wealth. A Lannister always pays their debts. But here's what nobody wants to admit. Their gold wasn't their strength, it was their fatal flaw. Because by the end, the wealthiest family in the Seven Kingdoms loses everything. Their kids, dead, their allies, gone, their legacy, ashes and wildfire. So how does the richest house in Westeros end up with nothing? Because they made the same mistake every rich person makes. They thought money could solve every problem. And when you believe gold is the answer to everything, you stop learning how to solve anything. You just throw money at problems until they disappear. Except some problems don't disappear. They just get more expensive. This is the story of how unlimited wealth became unlimited weakness. Let's start with the moment that broke the Lannisters forever, when 20-year-old Tywin Lannister set the family rulebook on fire and called it leadership. House Reynes had been laughing at the Lannisters for years, borrowed gold, never paid it back, treated Tywin's father like a joke. So Tywin showed up with an army, diverted a stream, and drowned an entire house in their own castle. Every man, woman and child of House Reynes died in the dark. House Tarbeck, their castle was torn down, stone by stone, erased from history. Then a song spread through Westeros, the Reynes of Castamere, and Tywin made sure the realm learned it. Not just a song, a warning system, a musical threat. Cross us and we erase you from existence. And it worked. For decades, that reputation did the work. No army needed. This is where the trap gets set. Because Castamere taught Tywin the wrong lesson. Gold plus violence equals respect. Respect equals control. Control equals legacy. But here's what Tywin missed. The Reynes were a soft target, isolated, overextended, not loved. That wasn't genius. That was bullying with a good accountant. And Tywin walked away thinking he'd discovered a cheat code. He spends the rest of his life trying to replicate Castamere over and over until the returns start dropping. Because here's the real lesson of Castamere. When your power is built on gold and fear, you're only as strong as your last display of wealth and brutality. The second you hesitate, the second you can't afford the next escalation, the whole illusion starts to crack, and that crack becomes a collapse. Fast forward to the War of the Five Kings. The Lannisters look rich, but they're bleeding money, and they're drowning in debt to the Iron Bank of Braavos. Now, here's the thing about the Iron Bank. They always get paid. They don't do forgiveness, they do collections. But Tywin isn't worried, because Tywin thinks war is just math. Borrow more gold, hire more soldiers, win more battles, repeat. Except this time, the gold becomes the problem. Because when Cersei takes over, she inherits Tywin's gold mindset. Without Tywin's restraint, she refuses to pay the Iron Bank. Just decides the crown doesn't owe them anything. She genuinely believes the Lannister name is worth more than actual gold. You can't threaten a bank into forgetting math. So the Iron Bank does what banks do best. They hedge. They fund your replacement. In the books, they back Stannis. In the show, the message is the same. The moment you look unstable, the bank starts shopping for the next regime. Suddenly, your enemy has money, ships, sellswords, because Cersei treated debt like an insult instead of a weapon aimed at her throat. Now watch what happens when your house motto stops being a flex and starts being a forecast. Because a Lannister always pays their debts doesn't just create trust, it creates expectations. And expectations create leverage. Beat one, you owe the Iron Bank. That's not a bill, that's a knife. The moment you hesitate, they don't beg. They invest in your replacement. Beat two, you buy allies with gold. You don't get loyalty, you get a subscription. And subscriptions get cancelled the second the value drops, or a better offer shows up. Beat three, you pay to empower institutions you don't control, like the Faith Militant. And congratulations, you didn't purchase safety. You financed the handcuffs. That's the Lannister curse in a sentence. Their money didn't make them untouchable, it made them predictable. And here's the difference between Tywin and Cersei. Tywin used gold like a scalpel. He spent to stabilize the board. Cersei used gold like gasoline. She spent to punish and burn. Tywin understood you can't buy your way out of a legitimacy problem. You can only buy time. And Cersei didn't use time to rebuild. She used it to escalate. And here's where it gets really nasty. Even when the Lannisters do pay, the gold still doesn't buy loyalty. It buys rent, short-term obedience, a lease on someone else's ambition. Look at the Tyrells. Tywin buys their alliance with a royal marriage. On paper, it's brilliant. They bring armies, food, the reach. But the second Tywin dies, the Tyrells don't betray the Lannisters. They simply stop renting them, because they were never loyal. They were strategic. Now look at the phrase, another perfect Lannister purchase. Gold and titles buy a betrayal. But what you really buy is a household that everyone hates forever. And hatred doesn't expire. And then there's Cersei's most insane investment, the Faith Militant. She rearms religious fanatics to attack her rivals and thinks she's in control because she signed the check. She's not buying loyalty, she's funding her own arrest. This is the Lannister disease. They treat people like they can be permanently bought. They don't respect that other players have their own goals, their own survival instincts, their own greed. Gold can make someone do what you want today. It can't make them want what you want tomorrow. And that's the irony at the heart of it. A Lannister always pays their debts, starts as a promise, becomes a warning, and ends as a threat that makes everyone quietly plan your downfall. Because if your reputation is "we always pay," then people start asking what happens if they can't, and they prepare accordingly. Which brings us to Cersei's masterpiece of self-destruction. The Faith Militant she empowered, they arrest her, put her on trial, force her to walk naked through King's Landing while the city spits on her like it's entertainment. So Cersei does what Lannisters do when they feel cornered. She doesn't negotiate. She doesn't rebuild trust. She doesn't learn. She escalates. And because she has money, she has options. Dangerous options. She hires Qyburn. She digs up wildfire. And she plants it under the Sept of Baelor. Then she lights the match. In the show, it's the cleanest problem-solved moment in the entire series. High Sparrow, Marguerite, Mace, rivals, enemies, witnesses, gone in one blast. On paper, it works. All her enemies disappear. The board clears. But here's the part she doesn't understand. She didn't just destroy her opponents. She destroyed the reason people tolerate the throne. The faith wasn't just religion. It was legitimacy. It was the place kings were blessed, marriages were sanctioned, power was made acceptable. Cersei didn't just blow up a building. She blew up the concept of consequence. And once a ruler proves they'll vaporize the rules when they're inconvenient, the realm stops obeying out of loyalty and starts obeying out of fear. And fear is not stable. Fear is a countdown. Then comes the real cost. Tommen, her last living child, walks out the window, and that's the gold trap in its purest form. Cersei had the resources to destroy the problem. She had the money to buy the wildfire. She had the power to silence the room. What she didn't have was the wisdom to realize some problems can't be solved by making them disappear, because gold can buy violence. It cannot buy trust, legitimacy, a kingdom that believes you deserve to rule. So Cersei ends up alone on the Iron Throne, crowned by nobody who loves her, surrounded by enemies with no allies left to buy. She wins the moment and loses the world. So here's the lesson of House Lannister. Gold isn't power. It's a tool, and when you mistake your tool for your strength, you forget how to actually be strong. The Lannisters thought they found a cheat code, throw money at problems until they go away. But every solution created 3 more problems. Every ally they bought eventually turned into a liability. Every show of wealth painted a bigger target on their back, because the real power in Westeros isn't gold. It's loyalty, legitimacy, and knowing when to stop. The Lannisters never learned that. They just kept spending, kept escalating, kept believing the next pile of gold would finally be enough. It never was. A Lannister always pays their debts. And in the end, the debt was their entire family. If this breakdown of how unlimited wealth became unlimited weakness hit you, good. Because what I'm covering next is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about this universe. Game of Thrones had rules, House of the Dragon has rules, magic rules, political rules, death rules. And then they started breaking them. Next video. Every time Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon broke their own rules explained. From Resurrection, that makes no sense to dragons that forget their own fire immunity. I'm exposing every moment these shows forgot their own logic. And trust me, once you see how many rules got shattered across both series, you'll never watch the same way again. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and drop a comment. What's the most broken rule across both shows? Magic that works when convenient, or characters who survive impossible odds? See you in the next one, where we prove that even the best fantasy falls apart when it forgets its own rules.